so high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight.
All right, going live.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another FPV FC Town Hall. We've got Dave, Rob, Dan, and myself with you tonight. We got a couple of articles to share tonight. Not a terrible amount, not large quantity, but definitely some fun stuff here. So first off, let me get started. So first off, the FAA denies comment period extension for drone beyond visual line of sight NPRM. So,
they didn't use a Phantom in that picture? Crazy.
No, they used a Lockheed Martin drone. So, so if you haven't submitted your comments yet, October 6th is the deadline for that. It says affected parties have until October 6th, 2025 to submit comments on the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration's Part 108 Notice of Proposed Rulemaking regarding integrating beyond visual line of sight drone operations into the National Airspace System. The FAA posted in the Federal Register on September 29th that it has denied requests to extend the comment period, signaling the administration intends to stay on its strict schedule to release the final regulation in 2026. The published denial emphasizes the Unleashing American Drone Dominance executive order issued June 6, 2025, which calls for a final rule within 240 days. The draft rule is published on October 7th with a 60-day comment period. So I'm not going to go into all the little nitpicks here. I think we're all well familiar at this point with the problems with the Part 108. But like I said, if you haven't gotten your comments in, you've got 5 more days to do so. So, and it does appear that they're not going to accept late submissions. So sometimes in the past they have accepted, submissions that were 1 or 2 days late. Doesn't look like that's the case here either. So, on to the next. We've got Dragonflies to supply Flex FPV drones to the U.S. Army. Pioneers embedded manufacturing process. So Dragonfly has been selected by the U.S. Army to supply its Flex FPV drone systems, marking an important step in bringing drone production and sustainment closer to the point of need. Under the initial order, the company will not only provide Flex FPV systems, but also support the establishment of on-site manufacturing capabilities at overseas U.S. forces facilities. This embedded manufacturing process is designed to reduce logistical delays, ensure secure supply lines, and enable troops to maintain equipment in the field. By training Army personnel in both drone operation and manufacturing, Dragonfly aims to help units sustain drone deployments without relying on extended supply lines. This approach represents a shift toward decentralized innovation, ensuring critical technologies remain available under dynamic battlefield conditions. So I went ahead and pulled up the Flex FPV system. It doesn't have a picture. But Dragonfly says, our NDAA compliant Flex FPV system is engineered in 3 distinct sizes, each boasting quick exchange assemblies in 4, 7, and 10-inch configurations. Interesting, they avoided the 5.
Yeah.
With a dynamic flight range and payload capacity spanning from 550 grams to 3 kilograms and a top speed of 90 miles per hour, the Flex FPV system seamlessly adapts to diverse mission needs. So, 1.2 pounds to 6.6 pounds of payload capacity and 90 miles an hour. So that's literally all they have on there. So they've got a bunch of other products, but yeah, it seems like the Flex is the one that they're going to be focusing on. So, but yeah, I think to me it's interesting that they are doing manufacturing out in the field. I think that's kind of cool. And number two, by training soldiers to do this, they're training their future employees essentially. So it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's interesting that that this is being picked up as a viable option when we're hearing some DoD requirements are fully autonomous, no training required, and a one-on-many swarm-like capability. They want absolutely no training and minimal number of operators for drones in a theater. So this is curious. This is very much classic FPV. It's what we see and read about in Ukraine, and so a different path than at least some of the more recent DoD source requests that we've been hearing about.
Yeah, and I think the Army is focusing more on independent, and then some of the other branches, including Air Force, are focusing more on the replicator program, which is what you're referencing, Dave. But there was an article, and I didn't pull it. I just briefly glanced at it, that the replicator project is running into some opportunities, and by opportunities I mean issues. So I'll have to see if I can find that while you're talking, Dave, and see if I can pull that up. And
yeah, some of the issues are the technology has not been invented yet. So
yeah.
it's and that's anyone who's worked in a defense contractor with the U.S. government. That's not unusual. It's normal for the U.S. government to fund pure research, and then the company is allowed to branch off the result of the research into both commercial and military. That's been done for decades and decades and decades.
Oh, yeah, a lot of the technology we use today was built that way, GPS and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So
right. But we do know that DoD is looking for deployable aircraft right away. So and that's where they run into it's not been invented yet.
yeah,
Tough to put it into production when it's not invented yet.
Yeah. All right. So up next, I'm kind of buzzing through these. Dang. Amazon in Arizona. Amazon pauses drone service after Arizona crash. Not just one, but two crashed today here in Phoenix.
Just today?
Just today. Crashed Wednesday morning at a West Valley facility. So Amazon has paused its drone service after two drones crashed in Arizona, a source told 12 News. The two Amazon Prime Air drones crashed Wednesday morning at a West Valley facility, officials say. The drones apparently struck the same crane conducting construction work near 99th Avenue and Interstate 10, the Wallace Police Department. No injuries were reported, and the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating.
I'm sure the crane was fine, but it's kind of funny.
It's funny that they hit one.
Yeah, I feel for the Amazon folks. I mean, they've not had much luck at all. When you think that Google Wing was 440,000 successful flights in Australia before they came back to the States. Zipline, hundreds of thousands of flights in Uganda, and now lots in the United States. And Amazon is not having a lot of good luck, and I feel for these guys.
Yeah. So the FAA confirmed two Mark 30 drones collided with the crane, and the agency will be investigating the incident. The Phoenix Hazmat Unit also responded to the scene due to complaints of smoke and reported damage to lithium-ion batteries. Sky 12 footage, and I'll show the footage of the wreckage here in a second, shows wreckage from the damaged drones located on the grounds of the facility. A spokesperson for Amazon said they were aware of the incident involving the two drones and are currently working with authorities to investigate. So Let me pull up the picture. Was a little gruesome for the drone. Let me there we go. So yeah, definitely. Let me pause and I make that full screen. So yeah,
A
definitely.
lot of little bits and pieces all over the place there.
Yeah. So and in the actual video here, the reporter does say that a couple people were treated for some minor injuries. So
Good. Glad that there were no fatalities. That's a good thing.
yeah.
And once again, we look at clever engineering. Google Wing makes their fuselages out of styrofoam of their package delivery drones. So if it runs into you, it does not transfer much energy. Very clever engineering.
They still weigh 80 pounds. So
they still weigh 80 pounds.
Yeah. So yeah, a little brutal there. So all right.
Clearly a failure in some feature of that drone that it didn't detect the crane and avoid it.
Twice,
Right.
or it found it. It found it twice.
Yeah.
That makes you wonder. Like, did it go find it and go after it because of was it giving off some spurious radiation? I mean this is going to be a really interesting NTSB that two of these aircraft found the same crane.
My only thought it was in their defined flight path.
Flight path. Yeah.
Yep.
But what was the operator? The person who's supposed to be monitoring.
And
right?
why didn't LiDAR? Yeah. I mean, these things have LiDAR sensors. Why didn't it avoid it?
So
Meets joking in the YouTube chat that it wasn't a crane, it was the crane game. So it's like those arcade games. It was grabbing packages out of the sky.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. I didn't even think about that.
Wonder what the prize was that it got.
Yeah.
A little bunny.
All right. DJI loses major Pentagon lawsuit in sweeping defeat. So DJI suffered a comprehensive legal defeat on September 26 when U.S. District Judge Paul Friedman rejected the Chinese drone's challenge to its Pentagon Chinese military company designation, dealing a crushing blow to the world's dominant drone manufacturer, despite the court's acknowledgement that the Defense Department evidence wasn't bulletproof. The 49-page ruling upholds DJI's national security threat classification and leaves the company facing cascading business restrictions, supply chain disruptions, and the looming specter of an automatic product ban if federal agencies fail to complete a mandated security review by December 23rd. The decision represents far more than a courtroom loss for DJI. It signals a fundamental restructuring of the American drone market, where 90% of police departments and 76% of all registered drones rely on Chinese technology, now branded as a national security risk. With federal contracts terminated, state-level bans expanding, and U.S. Customs detaining shipments under forced labor allegations, DJI's defeat crystallizes the broader U.S.-China technology decoupling that is reshaping critical infrastructure industries. George Fried, go ahead.
This is a very sad decision, and the author of this article appears to be conflating the court decision, which is DJI was maintaining via suit that the U.S. government had characterized DJI as a military organization. DJI has said we're not. We're a private organization, and due to the opacity of Chinese reporting and the Chinese government, it's not clear, but it does not appear to be a government affiliated and certainly not a military organization. Then you take that, and once you're a military company in a covered entity, as China is, then it cascades into all the problems that Josh was articulating. But this does not smack of thorough due diligence and transparency on the part of the U.S. judicial system.
Yeah. So they said Judge Friedman's ruling established a precedent of extraordinary judicial deference to national security determinations, even when the government's case contains significant gaps. While the court agreed with DJI that the DoD's evidence regarding Chinese Communist Party ownership was insufficient, Friedman ultimately ruled that the Pentagon possessed wide-ranging discretion to designate entities as military threats based on their contributions to China's defense industrial base. The judge specifically found that DJI qualified as a military-civil fusion contributor under Section 1260H of the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, noting that the company's technology has both substantial theoretical and actual military application, regardless of DJI's policies prohibiting military use. This reasoning effectively renders company compliance policies irrelevant if the underlying technology possesses a dual-use capability. DJI's legal team, including former Obama Attorney General Loretta Lynch, argued that the designation violated administrative law by relying on stale alleged facts and inadequate evidence. The company demonstrated that founder and early investors control 88% of stock and 99.3% of voting rights, while state-owned entities hold merely 4.3% of shares and 0.5% of votes, far below traditional ownership thresholds for foreign control determination. However, Friedman ruled that evidence of DJI's ownership is difficult to discern, and that courts should defer to Pentagon assessments involving national security considerations. The decision suggests that complex corporate structures and indirect government relationships may be sufficient for military company designation under the current legal framework, regardless of actual control mechanisms. So, yeah, it's
That's murky.
yeah, it's very.
This is unfortunate. Yeah. So a judge is saying, yeah, sure, we've got statute defined, but we're gonna let the DoD just have a lot of latitude in interpretation.
Yeah.
Not so good.
So
Yeah. And I agree, Dave. Doesn't scream of due process at all. What our judicial system should be based on.
Yep.
I do want to mention there was an article. I should have sent it to you. It was out of Albany, New York, that kind of alluded to the fact that there may have been a agency determined for the 1709 audit. And again, I can't confirm that, but the way the text read, it almost made it sound like that there was some intel there. But again, I would encourage listeners to go check out that article because I don't want to spread false information.
Yeah, I'll see if I can track it down while Dave's talking after.
And Albany is the lovely capital of New York State, and it's a quick hop for me, 50 miles due north.
So obviously, it's a big loss for us here in the United States. It's getting harder and harder to get these drones. Getting harder and harder to get parts. So yeah, it's not a good time. So with that in mind, I was apparently reading this, but we've got a DJI shell game exposed. A security bot catches DJI's Fix AXO proxy before congressional deadline. So basically, I'm gonna summarize this real quick. DJI, there's the implication here is that DJI is creating shell companies to continue to sell its product in the United States. One of those is a new one found was Fix AXO technology has been discovered through sophisticated frequency analysis, representing the latest evolution in a growing network of proxy companies designed to circumvent U.S. restrictions on Chinese drones. The discovery demonstrates how security researchers are staying ahead of DJI's shell company strategy through automated monitoring systems that detect rebranded products regardless of corporate disguises. Fix AXO emerges as the newest confirmed addition to a documented network of DJI proxy companies that use identical hardware, firmware, and technical infrastructure while marketing themselves as independent American alternatives. The company's hastily constructed website and suspicious corporate structure follow patterns established by earlier shell operations, suggesting DJI continues expanding its circumvention strategy despite mounting congressional scrutiny. The discovery comes as Congresswoman Elise Stefanik leads unprecedented congressional oversight of what she calls DJI drones pose the national security threat of TikTok, but with wings. Companies that maintain Chinese surveillance capabilities while appearing to operate as legitimate U.S. businesses. Pickaxo's emergence just months before the December 2025 NDAA review deadline demonstrates the urgencies of DJI's effort to maintain U.S. market access through proxy arrangements. So I don't know where this little thing comes from, but I would assume maybe from Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, but
Based on how misleading it is, I'd say probably.
yeah. Yeah. So Chinese Communist Party down to DJI, down to BYD, and then we had Anzu. I don't know if you guys remember them. And then Cogito coming out of those, and then apparently possibly another one with a couple others, with Talos and Sky Rovers. But DJI Shell Company Network, as documented by security researcher Conrad Iturbi, showing how the Chinese Communist Party and DJI coordinate with Malaysian subsidiaries to control multiple proxy companies marketing DJI drones as independent American alternatives. The diagram illustrates verified shell companies, including Anzu Robotics, green indicating a more legitimate licensing, Cogito Tech, Noac, Sky High, and WaveGo Tech, along with their sub-brands Sky Rover and Talos. Dashed lines represent suspected but unconfirmed connections, while solid lines show documented relationships. So they're basically using, identification of FICAXO technology showcases advanced technical analysis that manufacturers cannot easily circumvent. Security researcher Conrad Iturbi discovered the company through his automated frequency monitoring that analyzes FCC registrations for DJI's proprietary OcuSync communication protocols. I built a small bot that finds these shells. Every day the bot goes to the FCC and searches through listings for the DJI OcuSync specific frequencies. If there's a new release, it puts it on the GitHub, and that's how you find new DJI shell companies. So using DJI's OcuSync frequency system, it creates a unique RF fingerprint that cannot be replicated by competitors. And then teardowns include the P1 Pigeon chips, so on and so forth, and documenting the drone ID packets and all that kind of stuff. So it just continues to be a thing.
The notion that a company has a way to establish and sniff out shell companies through their FCC filings is, it is amusing, and that's about it. DJI uses common off-the-shelf technology even inside their modules. They use Atom. They use lots of COTS. So for them to pick up a different FCC chip, I mean, envision that you're a DJI and you just for fun, you want to release into the United States. So you create 4 or 5 companies, and you know that there's a vulnerability point in the FCC licensing. So you submit for an individual FCC, and it's a different technology for each of the 4 models that you launch. Not beyond the realm of possible, and that's all legal, right? Because they're releasing a company, it's a shell company, so I'm sure it's a legitimate company. It gets product, and then it sends it on to the United States, and so this is when we do something silly as a country and ban a specific company, this is what we should anticipate.
And I think Meat was saying in the YouTube channel here that isn't some of DJI's radio signal just other third-party chips that, say, Walksnail and others use? So identifying and fingerprinting that's just not proving it's DJI at all.
Right. Not so much. Yeah. Not a very good tool. Completely agree. Yep.
So I did clarify here, Anzu Robotics is an American company owned and operated by American citizens that introduced a drone lineup based on the DJI Mavic 3 drones running US-made software from Aloft.
Right.
Anzu Robotics is not a shell company under the control of DJI. However, Anzu is one of the companies that bring drones using DJI hardware and technology to the United States.
And Anzu, by definition, can be banned via the NDAA because the NDAA lists DJI, Autel, Chinese-covered companies, and any licensees thereof. And Anzu is explicitly a licensee of the Mavic, the firmware, and Aloft's role in it is whenever there was a moment where a Mavic would send information home, that call is intercepted by Aloft software on the aircraft, and it's captured in a database in the United States. So clever work. Unfortunately, it looks like it will likely be caught in the NDAA ban.
Yeah. So obviously, they're still trying to get this stuff in, but it's not coming. I would imagine it's not coming with a lot of the same warranties and all that kind of stuff that DJI offers with their stuff. So just be careful what you're buying, I guess. I know those of you who fly DJI are desperate to continue to be able to do so, but just be cautious what you're purchasing, I would say. Not going to say don't, just be cautious. So, all right, let me see if I can find those other two articles, Dave, and then I'll hand it over to you for now.
Okay.
I sent it to you, Josh.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll take a moment while you're looking at that, Josh. As Josh mentioned, we have just a couple more days until October 6th with the comments on the BVLOS NPRM. Oh, and as we've spent a lot of time on this subject on these calls, as well as offline, working with Pilot Institute and others within our Drone Advisory Council. If you have not already looked at the Pilot Institute video that says comment, please do. And we have our comments up, and they've been updated on our website at fpvfc.org. And so that one will wrap up. And we have another request for comment from the FAA. We'll manage that one. This is a much lesser import. Has to do with information gathered on FRIAs. So just a mention that we keep up with these. When the FAA says, "Hey, please comment," we do. And there's another request for the UAFAC. So, it occurs to me that I probably don't know what that stands for, but it's I think, but it's a FACA. So it's a Federal Advisory Committee, and I'm pretty sure that's what the last three letters are. And so it's a unmanned aircraft, I think, is the first two letters.
I think it's
Go ahead.
Unmanned and Autonomous Flight Advisory Committee.
Yes, that's it. Thank you
Although
very
that
much.
looks like an older web page, but yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Unmanned and Autonomous Flight Advisory Committee. I'll never remember that.
Yes, really. Yeah, UAFAC is pretty easy to remember. This is a follow-on to the ACC, the Advanced Aviation Advisory Council, which was a follow-on from the DAC, the Drone Advisory Council. We were very active in the DAC and ACC. There were 43 members in the ACC. And so it was a lot of folks, and we were the most active non-member. We applied for membership in the DAC, then the ACC, and were graciously declined, maybe not so graciously. And so we're going to put together another application. This is probably a much longer odds to get accepted, even though we do represent the largest cohort. There will be 12 members on the UAFAC. And this was defined back in the beginning of this year, and I believe in the 2024 FAA Reauthorization Act. Well, the 2023, but delivered in 2024. So 12 members. There also, as you read the write-up on this, it looks like there's a lot of do or perform roles, whereas the normal role of a FACA, an advisory committee, is to provide requirements and market feedback. This it feels a lot like the BVLOS NPRM, where industry is being expected to fund and then create regulations, education. Goes on and on and on about the things in here. So we will apply. And like I say, long odds for us to get accepted is because there are only 12 members. And these organizations are important to large companies who are helping fund congressional races and Senate races and things of that nature. So we'll see what happens there. And I think that's all I had, Josh.
All right, so the article that Rob sent me is behind a paywall, so I won't be able to pull that one up. Let me pull this one up. This is the other one I was referencing here. So the Pentagon's drone replicator. Oh, let me expand that out so people can actually see that. U.S. Pentagon's ambitious replicator program, designed to rapidly deploy thousands of small autonomous drones by August, has struggled to meet its objectives, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal. Citing individuals familiar with the matter, the report highlights that the program has fallen short of expectations and encountered multiple implementation challenges, raising concerns about the DoD's ability to adapt quickly to emerging military technologies. Launched in 2023, the Replicator Initiative was envisioned as a way to counter rising threats from adversaries like China by leveraging low-cost, scalable drone systems. Here's the problem. If you're not getting it from China, it ain't going to be low-cost. The Pentagon intended to deliver large numbers of drones that could be fielded across different domains, air, land, and sea, providing the U.S. military with a significant tactical advantage. However, insiders suggest that issues related to production delays, funding uncertainties, and coordination across military branches have hindered progress. The program was also touted as a test case for how quickly the U.S. defense system could adopt innovative solutions in an era of rapid technological change. Yet the setbacks highlight broader systemic challenges within the defense procurement process, where bureaucratic red tape and supply chain constraints often delay deployments. Critics argue that while Replicator Initiative demonstrated vision, execution has been less than effective in meeting its ambitious timeline. So, yeah, that's going to be a problem. If you're looking for affordable, yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, this is good because if you think about it, the Ukraine did a couple of things out of necessity, and they got together academics, they got together aviation people, and they got together engineers who know how to build things. And they put them literally in a single room, and they've been creating drones at various scales for 3 years. Much of what they're been working on is FPV. And a lot of what Replicator is talking about is fully autonomous and swarm. And so we as a country still lack fundamental technologies in FPV. So to try to leapfrog that's pretty difficult.
So it's interesting. So thank you, Rob, for sending me the article. So I don't have it to display here, but what I'm going to do is just kind of read through some highlights. It is a 10-page article, so I'm just going to read through some highlights here as I can, and we'll kind of go from there. Let me kill this.
Yeah, Josh, I think it's the top of page 3 that had the reference, if I recall.
Yeah, so it's so in July, and I saw this article. Stefanik called on the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, headed by Director Tulsi Gabbard, to complete the study after months of public inaction from the intelligence community. So I want to question what her reasoning, why Elise Stefanik wants the audit completed if it results in an automatic ban if it's not. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah. Made no
my
sense.
brain doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and she also worked together with the Colorado senator, Vic Moss's senator.
Yeah, so it just seems kind of odd that she would want this completed if inaction results in an immediate ban. That's weird. But Director Gabbard and members of the administration confirmed receipt of Chairwoman Stefanik's letter and are working closely with her office to thoroughly execute the audit, said Alex DeGrassi, a senior advisor to Stefanik. Any progress on a study has not been previously reported. My hope was always that this would be taken seriously and that an agency would take up the audit, said Adam Welsh, DJI's head of global policy. If an audit uncovers any security flaws, he added, the company should have the right to respond to the findings, an opportunity to fix any identified flaws, and a chance to discuss recommended security mitigations with the designated agency. So, yeah, it seems I'm a little confused by this, why she would want that. Yeah, I'm going back to that. Why would she want this done if her goal is to ultimately ban DJI drones? Maybe she just doesn't want to look like an a-hole in front of everybody, which she already kind of does. So thank you for that, Rob. I appreciate that. So, yeah, apparently the audit might be underway. Maybe, could be. Maybe.
I cannot imagine.
I'll hold my breath.
I cannot imagine any of the 6 security agencies that were identified as possible sources to run this audit to put their head up above the foxhole and say, oh yeah, DJI is not a problem. I don't see, it would be wonderful for our people in our industry, but it would be a very risky maneuver if you worked in the federal government.
Well, my question is the audit going to be actually factual, or is it going to just be like, man, we found security flaws?
Yep, there's a problem. Yep.
Yeah, check the box. We did our due diligence.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what that is, but
right. Yeah, and remember, we should remember that DJI with the Department of the Interior created an entire operating system in a green room. So they recreated their entire software stack to run their drones several years ago in an effort to not ground U.S. federal aircraft, DJI aircraft. And then the government said, no. So can you imagine the money that DJI expended and then doing this in good faith, and then the U.S. government says, nope, sorry, we're still going to ban it. Yeah. All of them for your interior, all grounded.
Yeah. And that was for the Department of the Interior that they did that. And right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right. So Dan, you got anything for us this evening?
The only interesting thing I was reading lately, you probably all heard about this, but more drones in Denmark interrupting airports. But then the reaction to that was to ban all drone flights for the week, like Monday through Friday. I think it was this week. No drones are allowed to fly in their airspace at all. I didn't read too much more beyond the headlines on that, but I thought that was quite interesting, both that the more airports and drone things, and the reaction was to just say, okay, no drones this week until we figure out what's going on.
Something stinks here. Are they calibrating measurement tools? Do they want free airspace so they can determine, because they have so many false positives?
Yeah, I think part of the story was that once, like what we found before is once somebody sees a drone in the sky or thinks they do, then everybody starts seeing things in the sky and misidentifying things as being drones. And so maybe part of that is, okay, drones aren't flying. What if you're seeing something? It's not somebody's normal drone doing a normal flight. It's something else. It's
something nefarious by definition.
Yeah, and then the EU is implementing a drone wall. I don't super cover, a lot of European war stuff on purpose, but the EU is deploying what they're calling a drone wall to be able to knock down drones if they infringe upon EU bloc territory. So
interesting.
Yeah. So
a rather important element given the incursions of Russian aircraft into Polish, and I'm missing the other NATO country. Was it Denmark?
Yeah. Well, that's what they're claiming. I think there were 4. I think the thing Dan's referencing, there were 4 incursions over a Denmark airport of drones of some kind. So,
And a theory is that they're Russian drones, but
not confirmed. So, yeah, good times. Rob, you got anything for us tonight?
No, nothing groundbreaking. So still trying to make my way through the rest of that NPRM. 6 days left.
5, sir.
That's right.
You're at
5 days.
Due by the
We're gonna-
On that same note, get your. I know I said it before. We just talked about it, but get your comments in. They are not extending that. So if you haven't written them up, do so. Make sure they are polite, professional, and productive. The 3 Ps, right? Make sure they are unique. You can reference a document, whether it's ours, whether it's somebody else's, whether it's the DAX. Any of those are available.
And if you can find anything positive, talk it up.
Yeah,
We
if
luck.
you can't, best of luck.
then if you cannot, then articulate what the impact is to you, and it's the personal stories that are most helpful in getting the FAA to change between an NPRM and the final rule.
Yep. So, and then after this, we can. I would imagine we can expect a final rule sometime within that 240-day deadline, or sometime after, because it's the FAA.
Or under a new FAA administrator.
Yeah.
Does appear to be a revolving door there.
Well, and we're not too we don't hold a whole lot of water for FAA and meeting deadlines. That's definitely not their forte. So just saying. So all right, guys. With that, I'll give you 20 minutes back of your evening. News cycle has been pretty quiet lately. So it's mostly European, Ukrainian, Russia.
It's gonna be quieter coming out of the federal government, right?
Yeah.
being shut down.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully,
Yeah, I wonder if any FRIA
nobody's
requests are going to
massively
happen
impacted.
anytime soon.
Good point. I've got one in. Probably will be delayed.
Yeah, it might be. All right, guys.
Okay.
Before Dave's head explodes, I'll go ahead and wrap it up this evening. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate all of you guys. Meet, thanks for the great joke. I love that. Amazon playing crane games. Yeah, gonna live with that one for
You
a
could
minute.
make it like a T-shirt out of that.
I think we should. That'd be awesome. Amazon's the one out here giving us a bad name at the moment. So
Yeah.
let's hope they get that sorted out. That's a big deal. That's my backyard. So hopefully we're not. I think that's their 3rd down drone at this point. So just here in Tolleson. So yeah, good times. Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, guys. See you next
Take
time.
care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Flying, get on board. We're smiling on top of the world. Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.